Hello, and welcome to the Roofing Economic Outlook. We are going to be looking at how roofing is being affected by the economy. It seems like a very obvious statement, but there are so many factors. We wanted to bring in an expert. So you will watch this video series with myself, Heidi Ellsworth, president of RoofersCoffeeShop, and we're very honored to have Mischa Fisher, the chief economist for Angi. Mischa, welcome to this very first episode 0 of Roofing Economic Outlook.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this. It should be great.
I think so too. I'm really looking forward to learning a lot from you and bringing the world of economics and the world of roofing together. I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit about you, your background, and your current positions.
Sure. The role of chief economist can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. What it means at Angi is spend a lot of time thinking about the economic cycle, trying to measure and understand what's going on in the pro labor market. So if you are having an easier time hiring or a harder time hiring, we try and really understand and quantify that and then also explain it. And at the same time, we also look at what consumers are doing and what's going on with consumer behavior and how the overall macro environment is impacting both of those things.
What are some of the things that you see that we're going to be able to share with our audience?
So there's a couple of things we're seeing right now, and I would broadly put all of them into this story of tailwinds for the industry. Right now, we have a bunch of things that are really driving the market. There's some things that existed pre-COVID in terms of just long-running fundamentals. Those are things like the age of the housing stock, which were baked in years ago. Those are things like the demographics of the country, which are also one of those things that are baked in years ago, right? Demographics don't turn on a dime. And when you are talking about how consumer behavior shifts year to year, you can learn a lot by just looking at what the average age of the population is. And do we have more or less 25-year-olds this year than we did 4 or 5 years ago? Do we have more or fewer 35-year-olds this year than we did 5 years ago? What will we have in a few years from now? That really shapes a lot of things. So there's those things going on. And then we also have the COVID effects. We have a relatively permanent shift in how people live and work, and also the impact of the pandemic on household wealth. Household wealth went up, which is pretty shocking. Obviously, some people were hurt pretty dramatically by the pandemic. The overall story economically for a lot of households, though, was actually a positive one in terms of cash flow and in terms of savings, because people just stopped spending money and their home values went up. So that's obviously going to shift the downstream effects, like how many people are putting in premium roofs, right? Are you going for that sort of default builder grade asphalt shingle roof, or are you putting something out there with a nice slate that's going to last a couple hundred years and is a premium product? For better or for worse, all that cash is out there now chasing. Right. In the case of, I imagine all the roofing listeners are running into this. You're chasing a labor pool that has not that many roofers and day laborers in it. And so as a result, you're bidding up that because everybody's got cash and there's not enough people and goods and materials out there to satisfy all the demand.
Exactly. And the material shortages, that also is pushing. I mean, when I talk to roofing contractors, I hear, it's just supply and demand. It's almost back to the basics. But I think hearing your spin on that, and not even spin, your take on that is going to be really important to understand for contractors. How does this all flesh out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, supply and demand is one of those economic fundamentals that is pretty tricky when you're trying to teach it to a 17 or 18-year-old who's fresh out of high school and college. But if you're trying to explain it to anybody who's been out there working in the real world, running a business, it's very intuitive because they see it and they live by those dynamics day to day.
And also, just so that everyone knows, we're also going to be talking a lot about the commercial market too. And we have a lot of old roofs that have not received maybe the service and maintenance that they need. And those are also coming up right now and looking to be re-roofed also. So with the shortage in materials such as ISO and fasteners, it's causing a bottleneck across the board for the roofing industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about some of these products, right, if you're talking about fasteners and those are made out of, let's say, stamped sheet metal, then you've got to be thinking all the way down line. Is that, a basic steel, or is that fastener, contingent on what molybdenum prices are doing, right? I mean, that's, you run into all these effects when you're talking about complex products. And, in terms of the roofing that's out there, you've got effects that come about because we've shifted where people live, right? We've had a big move of people to the south and the Mountain West. And of course, hail is a bigger deal there, which means if you're putting more of the population in an area where hail destroys their roofs more frequently, that's just going to be more demand on the whole system.
It is. And we're going to be able to, this is the great part about having this roofing economic outlook sponsored by Angi and working with you, is that we're going to be able to pull a lot of research and surveys and reporting basically from Angi throughout the year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So that's our plan, is to try and make sure that your audience is fully up to date on everything we're seeing in the market. That's one of the services we try and provide to people, is making sure that everybody's on the same playing field in terms of information and understanding the future outlook.
And you have quarterly reports. Those quarterly reports come out. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we release a quarterly report every quarter throughout the year. Each one's on a different topic. So we update each report once a year, and then we make sure that people are getting new information every quarter. The first quarter, we look at pricing, what's going on with the pricing of common home projects, not just roofing, but across the whole home services industry. Then in the second quarter, we look at what the size of the overall market is for home services. In the third quarter, we approach what is going on in the pro world and the pro labor markets, pro job satisfaction, recruitment trends. And in the fourth quarter, we look at what's going on with consumer pricing, consumer spending, and the overall mindset of the typical home service, home improvement consumer.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to those conversations. I'm really looking, that kind of research and that kind of the surveys coming back out of it, I think is going to make a huge difference for the roofing professionals. And so one of the things I'd like to ask you, Mischa, as we look forward to this series, is why should roofing contractors care? And I always ask that question because they have so much to care about. So why should they be listening to this economic outlook and really taking in consideration these reports and the trending that you're seeing?
I think they should care for a couple of reasons. The first is, when you're out there busy running your business day to day, it can be easy to lose sight of the broader things that are actually shaping where you're going. So a good analogy I like is, if you're rowing a boat, the way you row the boat matters. It matters in terms of if you're by yourself or if you've got a team. It matters what the waves coming up to your boat are doing. But at the same time, you have to recognize that you're in a larger body of water, and that in the grand scheme of things is going to shape your experience in a way that can be just as profound, if not more so, than how you're actually rowing the boat. And so if you're rowing the boat, you're doing a great job, but a typhoon is coming, you want to know about it. Likewise, if you're rowing a boat in a typhoon and it's about to get calm, or there's a spot where there is calm, then you also want to know about that. So if you're a pro and you're trying to think about inventory, planning ahead, pricing, how you hire, how you market yourself to consumers, all of those things are the larger body of water in terms of the forces and factors that can affect how you run your business. And so I think that's why it's important to have context.
Mischa, I am really looking forward to this series. I want to say thank you to you and to Angi. We're going to be bringing some great information to the industry, what they need.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Heidi.
Great. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time on Roofing Economic Outlook.